better than blue. Welcome back to Box Office Maniacs, and tonight I have a brand new Blu-ray review for you guys, and it is from Scream Factory, and it is Hell Night. Alright, so first off, when I bought Hell Night, I was actually thinking that it was another movie. Yeah, I know. For some reason, I had it in my brain that this was the movie Gates from Hell, and I had seen Gates from Hell one time only, and I thought, oh man, I really want to see that again. And I don't know why I was thinking that's what this was, but I ended up, getting this, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is not Gates from Hell, this is Hell Night. What did I do? I was like, I'll just take a chance and go ahead and watch it anyway. I mean, it's a horror movie, right? And it has Linda Blair in it. And I was like, oh, I don't remember seeing, truthfully, I don't remember seeing Linda Blair in anything but The Exorcist. I may have seen her in something else, but literally, I mean, I think that's the only thing I ever seen Linda Blair actually in was The Exorcist. So I was like, oh, this sounds like a pretty cool movie. So, I basically bought it sight unseen, and I had no idea what this movie was about. And so I ended up, watching it, of course, and I can tell you that I was not that crazy about it. So it was one of those 80s films. The concept of it was interesting. The concept of it was cool, okay? I like the fact that it was a sorority thing, and for Hell Night, they took some people to this old scary mansion and said that there was this whole story about how this woman had these kids and they ended up becoming monsters and they ended up killing the parents or whatever. I don't know. There was this big, long story, and they talk about it in the extras quite a lot, that this guy talks about going up to the mansion. So they get up to the mansion, and I'm not going to give out too many spoilers here, but they get up to the mansion, and it's not haunted. It's not supposed to be haunted, and it's one of those things that get in there, and the people that are doing the Hell Night prank have like puppets and stuff that are like a Scooby-Doo thing. They're trying to scare them, and of course there is things living there in the castle. That's not the puppets, which is an obvious right from the first 10 seconds of the movie. That's going to happen. I really did not know what to expect going into this film. The acting in it was decent. Actually, I think Linda Blair was really good in the movie. And it was weird seeing her grown up. It's like all these years I've watched The Exorcist and seen her as a little kid. And here, all of a sudden, she's grown up in this movie, and I'm like, wow. And the weird thing is, she looks exactly the same as she did when she was a kid. Her face and everything, she didn't age. Her face remained that kid from The Exorcist. And the other people in this film, I don't know who they were. I don't know any of the other actors or actresses in the film. But, they were all pretty decent. They weren't that bad. The thing I did not really like that much about Hell Night was the pacing. I thought the pacing was so slow in the film. And this is definitely a movie that you can watch with your kids. It's not a slasher film. It's not a Friday the 13th. It's not a Nightmare on Elm Street. There's no nudity in the film. Zero nudity. Tons of fans out there of this movie. I mean, I'm sitting here tearing it down, but I know there's a tons of fans out there of the film. And this is the first time I saw it. So I'm thinking maybe if I saw this in the 80s, I would be a big fan of it now because of the nostalgic part of the thing. If I grew up with the film, maybe my thoughts would be different from the film. I just thought it was a slow film. Overall, it just crawled for me. For example, it's like the way they filmed this movie is there's somebody standing there and they're looking at, say they're looking at Panther here. I got, Panther sitting here. So here's Panther, and this person needs to come pick up Panther and hit somebody overhead with Panther and knock him out. All right, so that would have been an interesting part of the movie, but it didn't happen. So here's Panther. Panther just sitting here, and the person is like looking at him. And then there might be a close-up, and then it pulls back out, and they're still looking at it, and they're going to grab Panther. Here comes the hand, and it's coming, and they're looking over to the person. Let's stop for a minute, and here it comes, I got Panther. They're picking up Panther. Now they're holding him, contemplating on hitting this person. And then it hit him. And that's kind of the pacing of this film. It just really drags. It's so slow. But there's cool stuff in the movie. There's a couple of creepy parts. And I really do like the Scooby-Doo parts of the movie where it's all fake. Parts of the film that I like. I think that's really great. I think all that concept of the thing is great. It's just a slow as molasses film. Even in the extras, they keep saying about the monsters. There's monsters. There are monsters in this house. They're monsters. But they're just people. They're deformed people. That's all they were. They were not, the creatures from the Black Lagoon. They were not the Frankenstein's monster or the Mummy. They're not monsters. They're just weird, deformed people. I mean, that's all they were. But they're, oh my God, they're monsters. The terrible, hideous, horrible monster. But no, I don't know. Stuff like that, too. It's like, okay, they're just deformed people. They might want to try to kill you, but they're not really monsters. They're just weird people. I mean, so overall, I would give Hell Night, my first viewing of it, probably my last viewing of it, a 2.5 out of 5. Again, not a horrible film. It's something that, if you have kids, they would probably enjoy it. You'd probably enjoy watching with them. Because it's one of those rare films. There's very little blood. I mean, there's a couple of murder scenes here and there. But overall, it's probably a PG or a PG-13 at the most. Even though it's rated R, it's not, that does not belong on this movie. It's definitely a PG or PG-13 film in 2018 right now. So, as for what Scream Factory did for this film, the cover here is really cool. Now, I'm going to try to get up there where you can look at it. I mean, they did a really, really cool job with the new cover art on the thing. And actually, the old cover art is great as well. Now, if you know nothing about Scream Factory, they have, the original artwork, and most of the time it comes with a sleeve, which is really cool. And inside, you can actually flip this around, and it has 2 discs in it, because there's one's DVD, one is Blu-ray. And you can flip it around to see the original cover art, and that's what I've always loved about Scream Factory. I think it's just great that they do this. And the actual original cover art is really good, too. Here, take a look at that. It's actually pretty cool. I think it's great what they did with the original. Usually, you have really cool new artwork, and then the original poster you look at, and you're like, what were they thinking about that? But it's good. It's Linda Blair climbing up the gate on the mansion. And yeah, it's a really great cover. Quality-wise, it looks great. I mean, it does. It looks really, really good. It's a new 4K scan that Scream Factory made from the original positive. There are parts of the film that gets grainy. And there's some sort of explanation in the beginning of the movie now, and Scream Factory's been putting in there lately, saying that they tried to get the best quality picture they can, but on occasion they couldn't clean up a part, or something happens that was too bad and they couldn't fix it. So it's like they're walking across the rooftop and it looks really, really good, and then boom, it's all grainy. And then boom, it goes back to normal. So, I mean, they did the best they could, but overall it looks spectacular. It's really, really nice looking. On to the extras. So let me get to my notebook here.
Now for the good stuff.
Okay, now I'm going to say this right off the bat. Even though I was not crazy about the film, I think the extras on here are fantastic. They are phenomenal. They are incredible. This is one of the best Scream Factory extras on any film I've bought in a long time. This goes back to and reminds me of the Phantasm 2 they released, and of The Fog, and of those movies like The Day of the Dead, where it's just so many extras, and it took me literally about 3 weeks of sitting there trying to get through these extras. How long each one of these is, and they're every one of them is good. And it's unusual, too, that every single one of these extras is good. And I think there's a reason for that, is because there is no audio commentary on Hell Night. And I really, personally think that's the best thing they could possibly do, is because you sit there and listen to an audio commentary, and I can imagine sitting there listening to Linda Blair or the other actors sitting there talking about, you know, how they got hired, and talking about the mansion, and talking about the effects, and talking about... I can sit there and imagine all that, and then sit here and watch all the extras, and again, you hear and see the same stuff 99% of the time from a commentary to the extras. So at this point, watching so many movies, especially Scream Factory, I prefer not having a commentary unless it's sort of a classic film that I don't know anything about, and they can manage to make the commentary different from the extras, in which sometimes it works and most of the time it doesn't. Okay, the first extra is Linda Blair's Beauty of Horror. So this is quite a long interview, and it's a great interview. Right off the bat, you just have a spectacular interview here with Linda Blair, and she is so full of life, and she's so happy, and she's so like bubbly, and she's so energetic, and you can't help but not sit there and just enjoy this interview. She talks about her early career, and she talks extensively about it. I mean, like a lot about it, about when she made The Exorcist and how it changed her life, and how she wasn't planning on being an actress, and she wanted to be a veterinarian her whole life, but she kind of fell into the whole acting job, and then she realized this was going to be her career. And she mentions a lot of the other films she made, which I had no idea any of them, to tell you the truth, except for The Exorcist. And she does talk about one movie that I really kind of want to see now. It's called Roller Boogie, and I barely remember the name of it. And we might bring it to you as a forgotten film, because I kind of want to see that now, to tell you the truth. It sounds like a pretty fun movie. It's like disco on roller skates or something, but it sounds bad, but it could be a lot of fun. And really, I do want to bring that to you eventually. She even talks about her costumes, even down to the boots she wore. She remembered the actual shoes she was wearing in the movie. And it's just an excellent interview. The next up is called Hell Night, with the director Tom DeSimone. DeSimone? I don't know. I'll call him Tom. And this is another really good interview, because I know nothing about this director. Again, I mean, I never knew who this guy was before watching these extras. And this guy seems like a really cool guy. He's really smart, he's really intelligent, and he's standing in front of the house they used for the movie. And they talk extensively about that too. They talk a lot about the house, the outside of the house, and on some of the other extras. But this whole interview, he's just standing outside the front of the house talking about how he made the movie. And one of the interesting things that he said was he's right out of college. He made some sort of college film, and some producer saw it and invited him over to talk to him. He's like, oh my God, right out of college, this is crazy. I'm going to become a big director. And he goes and talks to this producer, and the guy sounded like a real jerk. And he's like, oh, well, obviously you don't have any experience. Come and see me another 7-8 years, kid, when you have experience. You're not ready to direct a movie. So Tom was like, oh, that's it. My career's over. I'm done. So obviously he would do what anyone else would do. He went and started making porn films. And then he goes on to talk about some of the other films that he directed. And one that stood out to me was the one we actually reviewed here on Box Office Maniacs. And that was Angel 3. Yep, so this Tom DeSimone guy ended up directing Angel 3. I was like, oh, well, okay. And again, just a really good, entertaining interview. And this guy was really interesting, what he had to say. And he talked really well, and he kept the whole interview rolling. And there was no boring anything in this interview. It was excellent. Up next is Peter Barton, Facing Fear. Now, in the film, this guy played Linda Blair's boyfriend, or the guy that Linda Blair was with. And the only other film that I would probably recognize him from is Friday the 13th Part 4. And again, a really good interview. And he talks about how he was trying to get into acting, and then he didn't want to be an actor anymore, and they almost talked him out of being in this movie, and they just drank the whole time and then they partied. He said they would leave and then go back to their hotel and stay up to 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and drink and watch cartoons. And, he said that was the whole time they were on the set. So, and there was, a lot more to the interview, and it's just really, really good. Up next is Producing Hell Night with Bruce Cohen Curtis. Now this also, again, this is out of all the interviews, this is probably the shortest one. And just the way things are made in Hollywood is just weird. He basically has said that he met somebody in the parking lot of a grocery store, and somebody he knew, and he says, "Hey, I got this script, you want to read it?" And the guy's like, "Sure." And that's basically how this movie got made, is in a parking lot of a grocery store. And he talks about all the actors and how he got the actors, and he talks about the location a little bit more like the director did. And again, nothing really repeats here on any of these interviews. And that's actually what I really like about this. I mean, a couple repeat over each other, but for the most part, it's all new stuff. And, it's very rare for that to happen. Up next is another great interview. This is really one of my favorites, probably, to tell you the truth. It's called Writing Hell. And this is from the writer of Hell Night. And this is the guy who wrote the script for Hell Night. And I'm not gonna say he's sort of like full of himself or anything, because he's not really. But he's talking about how he went out and got a job, 9-to-5 job, and he worked there for 3 weeks and decided that's not for him, and he quit to write a screenplay for a movie. And he sat and worked 5 weeks on the movie and wrote the whole thing, took it out to Hollywood, started dropping it off on people's desks. Like, here's my script. And somebody found it, wanted to turn it into a movie, paid him for it, and he made his career that way, writing movies ever since. And it was really fascinating hearing this guy who wrote the script talking about what they did to it when they made the film. And he said he went to go see the movie, and he's like, "Oh, okay, well, they changed that." Or, "Oh, well, they added this to it. Well, I guess I can see why they added that to it." Oh, I'm back. My camera actually ran out. I was talking so long. So up next is something that's really cool, and I haven't ever seen it on a Scream Factory DVD before, and hopefully they can do more stuff like this, is they took the two actors in the film, sat them down in a room, and they just talked. That's it. They sat there and they talked to each other. It would be like as if they were, meeting on the street, and they're like, "Oh, hey, let's go get something to eat," and they're sitting at a restaurant just reminiscing about the movie. This is a really cool talk between the two. And the guy talks a lot about what happened on the set, and so does she. And the next extra is the same exact thing as this one is, except with the other two actors. Next up is we have Gothic Design from Hell Night. And this is an interview with the art director. And he talks about everything in the movie, from bringing in the trees from the outside to how they made the maze in the film, to how they made the cobwebs and how they made the walls and how they painted them and he talks about every single detail you could possibly think about in the movie, how he made it. He's even talking about the furniture and where he got the furniture and who gave him the furniture. And I don't think there's anything in this that he left out. There's everything you could possibly think of was in this interview from this guy. All right, so next up we have, I told you there's a lot of extras on here, it's crazy, is the anatomy of a death scene. Now here we go, we have interviews with the makeup woman and the guy who did the special effects and the writer and the director and the art director. And they go through every effect in the movie, every death scene, and how they did it. They show how they made the effect and who made it and how they made the scenes and what they used, and they had the actors on there talking about their death scene. All of it, again, just like the one before it, it goes into extreme detail about all of the death scenes in the movie. So if you ever sat up at night wondering, how did they do that death scene in Hell Night? Now you know, because they will tell you everything in this extra. Okay, so next extra is on location at the Kimberly Crest House. And that's the name of the house they actually used in the film. And this was part of the first or the second interview with the director. He's still standing outside the house, but now he sort of takes you through a tour of the whole property. around the house, and he's showing you, okay, well, this is where we filmed this. This is how we filmed this. This is the location we filmed that in. This is where we walked up, and he shows every single location outside the house that they filmed every scene in this film. And then we have the trailers, the radio spots, and the photos that they always show. So overall, the movie, I wasn't that impressed with. The extras, however, were amazing. I loved all the extras, and to tell you the truth, it did give me some appreciation for the film overall, but I can't put that into my original rating for the movie, because I am more impressed with the movie now, knowing everything there is to know about how they made it. So extras here on Hell Night would get a 5 out of 5. Scream Factory blew this away. I mean, if you are a real fan of Hell Night, if you love Hell Night, this is a no-brainer. I mean, pick this up instantly. But if you've never seen the movie and you're going to take a chance on it, I would caution you about it. Maybe, I don't know if you would like it. I mean, I personally think it's slow. The pacing is bad. But again, I mean, it's up to you. You may love it. I mean, that's just my opinion. And that's what we do here. We just give you our opinions. But if you are a fan of Hell Night and you wanted to watch all these extras and learn about it, oh, you're going to love it. You will love it. You will absolutely love this DVD, because it's that good with all the information that they give you.